we'll head on over to Rylee's presentation next because there's just so many things to think about, but I'm very excited that we still have some more presentations to go. So Rylee, go ahead, and thank you, Megan. Thank you, Abiomi.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna move this over here. Okay, gonna make sure I can see my board while I'm doing this.
Oh, you're good.
So my research has been an accumulation of things that I've noticed over the course of the year, my observations, things that I've really thought about and tried to put into words. And I think over the course of my whole, artistic career, this is the first time I feel like I've really put it down into a really nice essay. So I'm going to read that for you guys as I'm going through my PowerPoint. So I'm going to move this over here. Okay. In art school, you're overwhelmed with the quintessential question of why is art important? Having already the perfect art student answer in my head ready to go, I still felt it was something that would never have a definite answer. What kind of question is that? I don't know, because I'm bored, it's fun. Now I knew it was more than just that, and that it was more than the phrase of, well, art is all around us. I already knew that, and everyone does. I don't want the reason to be some epiphany that sounds like it should astound everyone who hears it. I want it to be honest. For 1 second, picture your life without art. I'm talking more than paintings and sculptures. I'm talking movies, TV shows, video games, clothing, architecture, books, interior design. What does that look like? Does it look happy? Even if a building or a room has the most boring, uninteresting design imaginable, that's still art, isn't it? Perhaps a modern Mondrian style kind of room? So that's a bust. Where does that leave us? Is it impossible to even have a world without art? Because I don't think it is in the slightest. Sure, art's not there simply because it has to be, but more so because it should be. That world we just described, it had one look, one boring, old, stingy look. But what if we added some color, some shapes and curves? This makes it more interesting. Of course, the possibilities are endless, but that's what makes this concept so powerful. Art is infinite. I love that art doesn't have to follow any rules. It can be exactly what it wants to be, and that can be anything. The freedom of art can be transposed into cartoons, films, game design, and so much more. From there, characters and worlds and universes are created that wouldn't have existed otherwise. Art gives us the ability to be imaginative and creative. These special powers that art gives us create a new dimension for human beings. We can create alternate worlds that feel like reality. We become so immersed in reality TV shows that we feel we witness the drama with the characters. We marvel at the lyrics of a song because it totally gets me. We want our world to feel so real that we use augmented reality to make reality feel more real. We can't get enough. Our craving to feel as if life isn't fully committing to its job, but art, it adds a whole new layer to it all. We've all met people, right? How do you picture the start of that conversation? Hey, how you doing? I'm Rylee. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Sarah. And then you get to know their family, maybe where they live. Oh yeah, that's like 5 minutes from here. Cool, cool. Something like that. Then almost immediately, you start getting into art. Think of the questions you ask someone when getting to know them. What do you think of? This past summer, I had been sketching my experiences every week of the things that I did. I knew an exciting chapter of my life had started, so I began drawing my days of the guy I started dating. A couple weeks in, I looked through, and all of them had some form of media in it, some form of art. To me, I was just drawing the things that we had done together over the weekend, or the things that we had talked about. And every single sketch had something to do with movies, video games, music, or TV shows. I started to feel pretty lame, thinking that my commentary on electronic entertainment was the only thing I contributed to the start of the relationship. But it wasn't. The relationship starting with us sharing what we liked. We would tell each other, oh, I have to show you this, and I have to show you that. The list was endless. It was a constant conversation of the two of us wanting to share what we cared so much about. I see this as another language, a love language, if you will. We had made lists of the TV shows, games, and movies we wanted to show each other, not because it kept us from being bored, but because we wanted each other to feel what we had felt when we first experienced it. Through the brutal drama of high school, I found solace in the show New Girl, where I watched a group of friends go through the same but more exaggerated struggles that I was currently going through. I became so invested in these characters that when I was finished watching the show's finale, I felt like I had lost my best friends. The people that I had grown up with, watching them face the same challenges I did, I felt like they were gone once the show ended. So the group of friends became a huge part of my identity, and I still carry their experiences with me. One of the first things I told my boyfriend Dan to watch was New Girl. As we watched the show together, I couldn't wait to get to the juicy episodes. I wanted him to listen to every dramatic line, maybe because he would take something away from it. I'm not entirely sure what I wanted him to feel, but maybe that's it. I wanted him to feel just like I did. For someone to experience something you experienced has got to be the most revealing and vulnerable part of knowing someone. To be able to step into someone's shoes and know how it really feels. I think it's because we want someone to get us, much like how we want to get ourselves. We spend such a huge portion of our lives trying to find our identities, and once we do, we so badly want to share it with others. Here, look, this is me. I had found so much electronic media has shaped me physically, mentally, and emotionally. It has influenced the way I dress, cut my hair, what genre of music I listen to, how I solve problems, and how I feel about things. I've never felt such an array of emotions until I began the video game series, The Last of Us. I had a hard time even thinking about how much these games have shaped me without tearing up. I became so invested in the main characters, Joel and Ellie, to the point where I regularly imagined them out there somewhere living their lives in this pandemic-ridden world. Of course, they weren't, but it really felt like they were, and that's the whole point. My love for these two characters was and continues to be so massive that my brain wanted me to believe they existed somewhere in my world. Why? I think it's because I felt like I understood them. I was the one who controlled their movements when infected people ran after them, saved them from dangerous heights, and kept them from being shot by bad guys. I was literally in their shoes. Well, sure, that's the whole essence of a video game, but I was witnessing human experience through this other person that wasn't me. My relationships with the characters in this game changed and influenced me just as much as a real-life person would. Despite the lack of physical contact or direct communication, I learned so much from these fictional people. I felt what they were feeling. I wanted to console them, fight for them, and support them, because they were my friends, and I saw how special and amazing each one of their characters were. I had the same feeling when watching this TV show, BoJack Horseman. This show included the messiest parts of life. It was so honest and raw. I could witness the brutality of life without having to go through drug addiction, abusive relationships, rehab, the downfall of my career. But after watching 77 episodes, I felt for BoJack and the trouble he got himself into, self-inflicted or not. I felt for his friends Diane, Mr. Peanut Butter, Todd, Princess Carolyn, and even the most minute characters, because it reflected the aspects of life people are either too afraid or too embarrassed to talk about. Each one of them had their own set of problems, fears, celebrations, and minds that I found so intriguing, whether they were like my own or not. I saw them as me. I've lost track of how many times I cried during the show when I saw someone who I loved who was in pain. My heart ached for them. I didn't want them to be hurting anymore. So where do these characters come from? And why am I so in love with every single one of them? They could be the worst character in the show, and I would still find beauty in their makeup. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just drawn to every type of personality out there. But I think even the most judgmental, narrow-minded, stubborn people can find the redeeming qualities in these characters they despise the most. I think we might relate a little bit to them. I mean, we've all felt anger and pain and sadness, and we try to expel it from our bodies like it's venom. And sometimes we show all of this in the worst ways possible. Like, no, I don't think Walter White selling meth was the way to go, but I get it. Yeah, did he kill people, screw over his friends and family? Absolutely, but was he evil? Like, I truly don't, not even Gus Fring. I'm not saying that admitting to your shitty behavior is any form of an excuse, but doesn't that kind of make you feel relieved? We're so quick to say that we're the bad guys, that we're messing it up so badly that we swear if given another chance, we'd do it all differently. But seeing these fictional people get themselves into trouble and seeing the context and witnessing the rationale makes us feel okay. Like, hey, you're not screwing it up as bad as these guys, but hey, you're not alone for feeling lost and resorting to anything as a means of escape. Someone else out there has felt just like me. And that's another way for me to find myself, through other people. These emotions, fear, happiness, sadness, we've all felt them. But seeing these emotions being acted on physically, or especially in fictional characters, makes us feel understood. Hey, I know exactly what this person is going through. I get it. Seeing their vulnerabilities makes us feel more comfortable with our own. And the ones who see this unraveling are the ones that grow from watching this behavior from a body other than their own. And God, do I love these characters. They're so damaged and broken. I love how flawed they are. Even the ones that appear so perfect, completely flawed. And it's not like these worlds or characters come out of thin air. Someone else who has either been or seen these characters in real life experienced all these types of emotions and felt vulnerable enough to share them with us all. They weren't afraid to shy from the ugly. Someone else sat down and had to explore the mental state of these characters and craft them into a certain being, capable of creating both beauty and chaos in their own little worlds that we've become a part of. We're so lucky. We're seeing the good, the bad, the light, and the dark. And that's something we wouldn't have if electronic media didn't give us the alternate realities. All these worlds and characters give us an appreciation for who we are as a human race. I have learned how to make amends with friends, make good choices, consider others' feelings, share my opinions, deal with death and heartbreak. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for these people that were animated into my life. I'm afraid to admit that I care more about some fictional people than I do real people. I feel that is an awful thing to say, but when you embark on a journey with someone, whether they're physical beings or 2D images on a screen, you form a relationship with them. And like all relationships, they change you. That's how we grow. We're constantly growing, and if it wasn't for the interaction of people, we would never change. The more we experience, the more we learn, the more smart and strong we become. We're like a database that keeps collecting as much data as possible, and we can use that to help us through our own struggles, our own issues, and to express ourselves. I guess the artist in me is to show you the emotions and how much they influence everything in your life, whether you see it or not. And with every interaction, we learn more and more about ourselves and others. So here I am, giving a little part of me to you. So this is me. And that's that.
Yay, thank you, Rylee. That was incredible. So when I sit there and I say, okay, guys, we're gonna do an autoethnography, right? That's basically what we've all done in a way this semester, but like that right there was the exact example of an autoethnography of like, how do you tell your story through a method of research and, you know, and art making and all of that. And what's so interesting and fascinating, I think, for everyone's presentations is that to think about all the back end stuff, right, guys? Right, like of all of this, like everything that you guys did to get to these points today is like, you would be like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? Don't you guys think like people on the outside would have been like, wait, you guys have really been doing all this? And it's like, yeah, like this is like a whole semester's worth of stuff that goes into it. I would say we have time for maybe one question or comment before we move on to the next presentation. Simone, go ahead.
So yeah, I just wanted to comment on the fact that, like, I know of course you use BoJack as an example, and I feel like he's like everything you said is one reason why people love the show and BoJack, because he's an awful person, but you can see like why he's awful. You can see him trying to work through him, like trying not to hurt others, but like he's so damaged, and you can see him just constantly trying to work through his traumas. It's hard for him to like keep those relationships and not hurt people. And there's no like happy ever after ending with the show either. Like it's still just, this is what life is. This is what life is specifically for this person who's been through all of this. trying to work through it, and it's just so real. And I love that show. And yeah, I'm glad you used that.
It's interesting too, because it makes me think about, I'm connecting back to Guan Yu's presentation, right? I'm thinking of like the paintings that you showed, and especially the one, what was it? Was it Ivan the Terrible? Yeah, right. Like, and it's like what we're seeing, what we're responding to is how the art can show us this aspect of humanity and connection that like eclipses us otherwise. Right? Like, it's like, that's what we catch on to. So wonderful. So yeah, so go ahead, keep putting stuff in the comments, everybody. And Rylee, there's some awesome comments for you in the chat. And we'll pick back up with, if anyone wants to give more comments afterwards, but we are going to move right along next to Brittany.